Here's what's happening locally. I'm Wynn Damon. Vacant no more. River's Edge Plaza. By the end of this year, 211 to 299 Lincoln Avenue, the space Haverhill locals knew was the place to shop for bargains at Building 19, will be reinvented as a climate-controlled storage facility by New Hampshire's NAI Norwood Group. Going before the city's Board of Appeals in March, attorney Michael Migliori petitioned on behalf of Norwood Group's Joe Mendola, who plans to oversee the development of the 600-unit space adjacent to Riverside Park and Trinity Stadium. Mendola is confident Storage Direct's fourth Massachusetts location is going to be a welcome addition to the strip mall that currently houses Market Basket and the Registry of Motor Vehicles, among others.
It's going to bring a fresh new look to the shopping center, and it's also going to bring people there, from like 5 miles away, because that's where they store their stuff, and they'll store their stuff, and then they'll go shopping.
As part of the renovation, Mendola tells WHAV 45 spaces in the lot in front of the location will be available for use by park patrons, and Storage Direct will overhaul the walking trail behind their building. With the project still in the early stages, Mendola and his team are taking special care to address concerns from neighbors on Riverside Avenue, worried about noise and possible traffic congestion that could come with a new business. Mendola predicts a smooth move-in for Storage Direct.
We're not going to be a big traffic generator to the rear of the building, and so we will be an asset to the neighborhood and not having trucks loading and unloading stuff off of Riverside.
Mendola says the company, which currently has locations in Burlington, Middleborough, and East Dennis, plans to have climate-controlled units in Haverhill that range from 5 foot square to 10 feet by 30 feet. And a 2012 graduate of Haverhill High School is the latest newcomer to seek election to the Haverhill City Council. 25-year-old Joe Sherlock, president of his high school class, is building his campaign on affordability and changing the city council to representation by ward. Addressing more than 100 people at his downtown kickoff Saturday night, Sherlock told the gathering he can't afford to live in his hometown, and neither can his classmates, and he went on to say it doesn't have to be that way. Sherlock said his family found Haverhill affordable when they moved there in 1994, but he thinks that dream is slipping away. However, he feels that something can be done about it. Sherlock was introduced by Haverhill State Representative Andy Vargas. And no matter what happens during Groveland's annual town election in May, there will be many new faces in Groveland Town Hall. Voters are not only being asked to fill a vacancy on the Board of Selectmen and name a new town clerk on Monday, May 6th, but identify people to fill 4 posts where none have expressed interest in the jobs. After a dozen years as town clerk, Ann Brody tells WHAV she is looking forward to quieter times, spending more time with her family and grandchildren, and doing some volunteer work. She was first elected to Groveland's town clerk's post in 2007. Trying to succeed her are Catherine Young, Bonnie Wood, Elizabeth Cuniff, Norma Bird, and Jack Bevilacqua. The latter, former host of WHAV's Open Mic, spent 20 years on Groveland's Health Board, is currently a member of the Elm Park Committee, and Bevilacqua says he thinks of his campaign as a homecoming.
I filed my nomination papers 2 weeks ago, and I've been traipsing all over Groveland, passing out campaign literature, meeting a lot of people I haven't talked to in many years, and finding a lot of old friends.
Groveland voters are also being asked to choose between Daniel McDonald and Kathleen Catron-Ellis to complete the last year of the unexpired term of Lisa Dubé Carpenter, who resigned from the Board of Selectmen. They'll also decide whether William O'Neill wins another term. He's being challenged by Deborah Young for the 3-year term. And vacancies exist for seats on the Health, Water and Sewer, and the Planning Boards, as well as for Tree Warden. In WHAV sports, the Red Sox are in action tonight in Oakland to play the A's. The Celtics are going to be hosting the Miami Heat this evening, and the Bruins have the night off. On the high school schedule in boys lacrosse today, Essex Tech is going to be at Gloucester. Girls lacrosse has North Reading at Essex Tech and Pingree at Brooks. Remember, WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source. And there's always more at WHAV.net, where you can sign up for the free newsletter. From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, this is Wynn Damon.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Kate Fisher. British MPs are voting on 4 alternative Brexit proposals. The party of Turkey's President Erdogan has lost control of the capital, Ankara, in local elections. The American government is speeding up the deployment of officers to the US-Mexico border. former US Vice President Joe Biden has defended himself over an accusation he acted inappropriately towards a female former political figure.
Wave weather.
Now your wave weather forecast for Haverhill and the Merrimack Valley. Clear skies and dropping all the way back into the low 20s tonight. West wind around 15 to 20 miles per hour early, then diminishing greatly. Sunny skies, lower 50s. South wind around 5 to 15 miles per hour for your Tuesday. We'll increase the cloud cover at night, about a 50-50 chance for a few showers. Lows around 35. Morning rain shower chances remain for Wednesday, then a mix of sun and clouds for the afternoon. Temperatures warming up to 57. I'm WHAV meteorologist Brian Ivy. Your next wave weather in 30 minutes.
This time could have been your time. Support 97.9 WHAV local service with your announcement on FM radio. Go to WHAV.net and click advertising to reach thousands of new customers. On air 24/7 and online all the time. 97.9 WHAV.
WHAV, Merrimack Valley, open mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
Good evening and welcome to the Open Mic Show. I'm Ralph Vasilier. I'm your host. Well, Bill Macek is on assignment. I'm joined tonight by our guest, Tracy Fuller, who is the Haverhill and Plastow YMCA Community Regional Executive Director. And I'm also joined by City Councilor Melinda Barrett, who is flying as my co-pilot tonight, my co-host, while Bill is on special assignment. So, without further ado, happy April Fools, everyone.
Yeah.
Our first show of the spring.
This could be the April Fool's joke right now.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah, we got it. Mike, too. Melinda, talk again.
Hello.
Yeah, we got you. Yeah, closer. All right, so a little bit of a microphone problem taken care of there. Tracy.
Yes.
Back to you. You are the Regional Executive Director for the Haverhill and Plastow Community YMCA. So welcome and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Welcome. Well, thank you so much for having me. So a little bit about me. I've been the Regional Executive Director for the Haverhill Y for the last 12 years and the Director of the Plastow Community Y for 5 years. So I live with my husband, my 2 kids attend Haverhill Public Schools. I have a 7th grader and a high school freshman, and I'm excited that I get a job that I love impacting the community of Greater Haverhill every single day. So we do a lot of great things at the Y. We're fortunate to work with lots of great businesses, a lot of other nonprofits to collaborate and work together. But the Y is all about impacting the community. So that's where our focus is, and where the community needs us, the Y likes to be there.
Beautiful. And you have your big event of the year coming up, the Y
We do.
Legacy Gala fundraiser.
We do. So on May 11th at Bradford Country Club will be our Legacy Gala. We're excited with the theme of Masquerade. You can be what you want to be at the YMCA, with all of the proceeds going to benefit kids to attend summer camp. So we're honoring Haverhill Rotary, we're honoring Pinnacle Physical Therapy, and we will have a great night full of cocktails, dinner, auction, a ton of fun, and our goal will be to send lots of kids to summer camp that night.
Well, you had me at cocktails.
It's always one of the better fundraisers.
And where is it held this year?
It's held at Bradford Country Club. We work with Kevin and Kristen Murphy, who are very generous. We're right outside in the tent. It's a lot of fun. So
food is excellent.
I always like that venue.
Entertainment is excellent.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
Beautiful. So a lot of people, we drive by the Y, we see the Y. Maybe we have some preconceived notions of what it is, but it's a long-standing American institution.
It is. There's been a Y in Haverhill since 1855, little known fact. So we're one of the oldest nonprofit in Haverhill. So we do a little bit of everything. It's not just the village people. So we have, obviously opportunities for program for kids, opportunities for health for adults. So we're all about youth development, healthy living, social responsibility. We have affordable housing, 74 people call the Y home. That's important to us in our mission and our ways to really support the community of Haverhill.
Wonderful. Now, just for the record, you mentioned the village people.
Yes.
If we were going to do that, I want to be the Indian.
Okay.
I'm just calling it right
You
now.
got dibs. You can,
Yeah, good
you
dib.
can dress as an Indian and go to the fundraiser.
There you go.
Yeah, and then have my moment of public shaming,
Be our,
I'm sure.
our special guest.
And you have a golf tournament coming up too in June.
We do. It's a busy fundraising month. Again, we have our golf tournament. It's Monday, June 3rd. It's at Atkinson Country Club. So if you're a golfer, you don't want galas are not your thing, come out and golf with us. Again, we're fortunate that all of our proceeds go to benefit deserving kids and families in Haverhill. And, the Y provides over $900,000 of financial assistance to deserving kids and families. So, a lot of our kids really need our support. We serve meals at our early education program and our after school and team program. So, again, Haverhill is a community that needs a Y, and we're excited to be able to provide the opportunity to serve our community well. So
Now, knowing, because I pay attention to the news locally, that education has been a hot button issue, to say the least.
Yep.
I think it's fair to say that.
Yep.
That it's been a hot button issue, and perhaps in conjunction or independently of the Haverhill Public Schools, you offer programs that help children in their education, literacy,
Yep.
correct?
Yep.
Nutrition.
Yep, we have a summer literacy program. This is actually our 7th year running the program. It's no cost to families. We provide literacy tutoring in the morning, specifically instruction on reading. And then in the afternoon, they get to enjoy an afternoon of summer camp. It's for 6 weeks. And the cool thing is that we test the kids before they start the program and after they start the program. And kids gain on an average of 3 to 4 months of reading. So instead of the summer slide, they get to jump ahead. And for those that don't have opportunities to go to summer camp or go to museums and such, we're able to provide this program, serve a healthy meal, and really help support kids get a leg up in the summer, which is so important.
I like that because I've said many times, I've said it right here on this show, in regards to other literacy programs that we've talked about. But when you have a kid who can read at the grade level, his grade level, if you have them graduate and hopefully go on to college and read at the appropriate grade level, you'll never be able to keep them down.
Nope.
I'm a big believer in literacy and strong reading as a way out of poverty.
Yep.
And a recipe for success. Having said that, what does your average client look like? You have a large client base.
We do. We have over 4,000 members of the Haverhill Y. If you look at early learning and school age, we provide education support to over 500 kids.
Wow.
The cool thing is at the Y, it's the most important word in our mission statement is all. So when you walk into the Y, whether it's our sports leagues or our youth programs or education, it's kind of a nice cross representation of Haverhill. So it's a little bit of everyone, which is kind of neat. So we tend to see ourselves as Cheers without the alcohol, like that community club of Haverhill. So it's kind of neat to see a mix of demographics. We do, with programs like our summer readers program, really try to reach those that maybe come from harder financial hardship situations, and really try to reach out in the community to those that really need us. And we do work in partnership with the school department. They've been a great support and resource for us to really help identify kids who need the Y, and especially our summer literacy program, and get the support they need.
In that literacy program, you had teachers teaching it.
Yep.
It wasn't just,
Not just volunteers.
Yeah.
They were
Yep.
certified teachers.
Wow.
Haverhill public school teachers. So we've
No kidding.
Yep.
All right, and at that, it's 97.9 WHAV FM. It is about 7:15, and we have to take a break, and we'll be right back after this.
Open mic.
Bill Macek and the Open Mic Show will be right back Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900.
Local information and the best music. This is Public Radio for Greater Haverhill and the Merrimack Valley. 97.9 WHAV. Did you know radio still reaches more than 93% of people of every age, every week? It's a fact. 97.9 WHAV Merrimack Valley audience averages 93% of everyone. As other media cuts back, folks in our area are turning to 97.9 WHAV for local news, information, and the best music anywhere. And 97.9 WHAV listeners know our business messages are more credible, more trustworthy than other advertising. Learn how 97.9 WHAV connects your business with more people than all other local media combined. Call 978-374-1900, 374-1900, or online anytime at WHAV.net.
Community Spotlight.
Heads Up Hilly's Aligned Credit Union, with offices in Haverhill, Methuen, and Amesbury, plan to offer several graduating seniors money for college, with applications due on May 3rd. To apply, students must be a graduating high school senior or current college student enrolled in an undergraduate course of study. Applicants must also be a current member of the Aligned Credit Union with an account in their own name. Students may sign up for a new customer account in order to apply for scholarship aid. For more information or to apply, visit alignedcu.com. Submit your own nonprofit events and announcements at least 3 weeks in advance. For best results, use the online form under the Contact tab at WHAV.net. In the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, this is John Lee.
WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
Good evening and welcome back to the Open Mic Show. I'm Ralph Bazalier, in for Bill Macek, who's on special assignment. My co-host tonight is City Councilor Melinda Barrett, and our special guest is Tracy Fuller, the Regional Executive Director of the Haverhill and Plastow Community YMCA. Before we went to the break, we were talking. We had to go to a break before we were done talking about your literacy programs.
Yep.
Haverhill teachers staff it?
Yep. We employ Haverhill Public School teachers. They work for us and do the educational component, focus on the 4-block model, which is the same as Haverhill Public Schools, for 3 hours a day, 4 days a week. And then in the afternoon, kids get to go to summer camp. They get to go on field trips. They get to go to the library, take out their own books, work on their summer reading. And, again, the gains of 3 to 5 months is so significant instead of them sliding back.
I'm always a little embarrassed to admit this when I'm on the radio show, because that I don't, now that my youngest child is in college, so education is still a very important part of that multi-decade mission that myself and their mother are on. But it turns to a different ball game when my children went to Central Catholic, went from public schools to Central Catholic, and then college. So I'm not familiar with the 4-block model. What?
So that's focused on guided reading, self-directed reading, literacy and comprehension, and I'm trying to think what the last one is, and I may not have it right, but it's basically the same tools that Haverhill Public Schools use to just focus on reading. So again, it's seamless for the kids. It's the same thing that they're learning, and we have rising 2nd, 3rd, and 4th graders. So those kids who have been in 1st grade have been in 2nd grade, because we know how important it is to make sure we help support them getting on
goals, yeah.
help them get on reading level by the time they're in third grade. And we're fortunate that we've had great partners like Haverhill Public Schools, like the Maddox Foundation, who have supported this endeavor. And again, every year our goal is to continue to grow and impact more kids, because with us offering before and after care as well, a lot of parents have to work and appreciate getting that support during the day.
And literacy is, how strongly I feel about it. I mean, I came from where I came, and all my successes, whatever they may be, are a direct result of my love of reading. It's a great esteem and confidence booster for the kids, isn't it?
Absolutely. And we do reading in our after school program. We have our early learning program over at the Whittier building. We read, the kids get to go on field trips, walk right down to the public library, which for so many of them is just such a cool experience. Some of them have never been to the library.
The children's room is, dynamite.
Yeah, it's really good over there.
Yeah.
So circling back a little bit for our listeners who are just tuning in, your Y Legacy Gala fundraising event is coming up. It supports your summer camp.
Yep.
It's of incredible importance to your overall fiscal well-being, and it's at Bradford Country Club.
Yep.
May 11th.
So May 11th, starting at 5 o'clock. I want to give a shout out to Pentucket Bank. They're our lead sponsor for the event. We're fortunate to have a lot of great sponsors to support our Legacy Gala, and we're honoring Haverhill Rotary and Pinnacle Physical Therapy. I just left Haverhill Rotary. We were serving meals at the Citizen Center. Rotary has done so many great things for many of our nonprofits in the community for decades of years. So
they do a great job. And also you have the golf tournament coming up on June 3rd.
Yep, at Atkinson Country Club. Shotgun start at 1:30. If you know any golfers, come on down. It's a great tournament. We have a lot of fun. We have a golf cannon, which is super fun and maybe not super safe, but that's okay. No, they have a lot of fun. And again, all proceeds go to benefit deserving kids and families at the Y.
This is a true story. Little fun fact. I volunteered for my first golf tournament ever in my life to work at for the Santa Claus parade.
At Bradford, yeah.
Right,
Bradford,
and nearly got my head taken off by a golf ball the second I went out to, the hole-in-one contest?
Yes.
They
So
sent
you
me
were
out there
judging?
to
You were
monitor it.
monitoring?
And I have a witness. I have a credible witness. Dick Willett is my witness that I nearly got my head taken off. But that's okay. That would have been a really interesting news story for about
You
3
have
years.
to pay attention when you're doing that.
Yes.
You ain't kidding. What just jumped out on me is that you have a free Easter egg hunt. If I'm reading this right, it says in the park on April 13th.
It's close to the park. It's in the pool. So
In the pool.
we don't want, Easter egg hunts come a dime a dozen with grass and snow and other things. But we do our Easter egg hunt in the pool April 13th. It's a ton of fun. There's a whole lot of eggs in the pool. We break up the kids according to age. It's just something different. Melinda and I were talking about how important it is to get kids to swim. Kids have a great time. Little ones can go in with their parents. So it's just a cool opportunity to do an Easter egg hunt in a fun, unique way.
And the eggs, they float.
They float, yes.
All right, you're not sending the kids to the deep
No,
end.
no.
That would be snorkeling class.
Yes, that's another class.
Like the Curse of Oak Island or something. You have a child care program there that I've heard and I imagine is very important to working parents.
It is. So our child care center is at the Whittier building, which is right next door to the Haverhill YMCA. And a cool story is that, the chamber was there, had run the chamber there, and when they moved to Merrimack Street, created a cool opportunity for us to be able to open an early learning center right next door. It's the former school of John Greenleaf Whittier. There's a nice historical presence. We preserved a lot of the wainscoting and the wood, and kids have these beautiful windows and great space for them to be able to learn. And we have about 65 kids in the program right now.
No kidding.
So,
now, you have a big membership. So your members, I imagine that they run the gamut from those who need a hand up to those who don't, but are all seeking, relatively the same services in the community.
Yep.
Could you tell us about your membership profile, so to speak?
Yep. So we have a solid amount of family memberships, and we have things for adults from kind of young diapers to grandpas and everything in the middle. So we have for our programs membership, a fitness center, group exercise classes, water aerobics classes, everything from Tai Chi to spin. One of the cool things and benefits about the membership is there's open swim times, gymnastics times, gym times. So you really have a full benefit. We have a rock wall, a 25-foot rock wall at the Y, so you can do a little rock climbing.
All right, and we have a caller. Why don't we go to that caller before we move on to the next question?
Sure.
Yeah, we have Gerard Boucher on the line calling from Haverhill.
Dr. Boucher.
Yeah, Dr. Boucher here. Bill, thanks for having the program again, and I want to thank the representatives from the Rotary Club. I think they do a wonderful job. I especially want to thank them for what they do for the veterans every year, because they're really a big sponsor for the veterans every year around Veterans Day, and I really appreciate that. As being a blinded veterans, I want to thank them all. And I want to ask a question about when you play golf. Do you still have to take 2 shirts with you?
2 shirts?
2 shirts?
Yeah, do you still have to take 2 shirts when you go play golf?
Why, in case you lose one?
No, in case you get a hole in one.
Oh, wow. Walked right into that, didn't I? Wow.
Hope special. That's called Hope Special.
6 weeks on radio, and I'm still falling for it.
Yep.
Well, Jerry, thank you for calling in. You're always a ray of sunshine.
Okay, my friend. All right, thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Have a
God
good
bless
night.
you.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That is Dr. Jerry Boucher, who is on the commission for the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. Quite a personality. Regular caller. So we were talking about child care, now summer camp. Your summer camp is it in New Hampshire?
So we do have a summer camp in New Hampshire, East Kingston, New Hampshire, called Tricklin Falls, where it has a 55-foot climbing tower. It's on the Powell River, archery, all the traditional day camp activities. And at the Y, we have gymnastics camp, and we have a camp called Shoe City Explorers. So those are for the kids that like to be a little more indoors in the summer. So we have those that love the sunshine, and those that prefer, camp less sun. So
and how many kids do you have going?
AC.
I'm all for AC.
How many kids total? Between all camps, we probably have unduplicated. We serve anywhere from 750 to 900 kids at summer camp, because a lot of them come all summer, but some come just a few weeks. We do also, at our Placer location, have a Ninja Warrior course, so we have Ninja Camp and some sports clinics as well, so something for everyone.
A little known fact, I am a graduate of Ninja Camp.
Oh,
really?
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
did
different
not know
kind
that.
though. It was in the Marine Corps. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. They thought they were ninjas. And you have a lot of very important long-standing programs at the YMCA.
We do. I mean, the Y has been a part of some history, in the sense that the Springfield YMCA is where basketball was invented, volleyball was invented, organized swim lessons. So those continue to be a big core of what we do today, in addition to, exercise programs, group wellness programs, offering opportunities for our seniors, opportunities for them to have a sense of, they want a sense of achievement and a belonging. So we want them to help them get healthy, but also feel like they belong to the Y. So that's really important to us.
Now, the YMCA, is it true that stands for Young Men's Christian Association?
It actually stands for You Must Consume Alcohol. No, I'm just kidding.
All right. I'm glad that this flight has drinks. Believe me.
I'm kidding.
I'll take a Crown Royal and a water and a rock.
I'm kidding. Yes, it does stand for Young Men's Christian Association, but we're actually just known legally as just the Y.
The Y,
so
yep.
Youth Development, Healthy Living, Social Responsibility. So
beautiful. You have a lot of stuff you do with seniors over there as well, right? They have a place, a home at the Y as well?
They do. We have a great senior population who comes in, gets well, they have opportunities. We serve coffee at the Y, so they come and, again, it's a great opportunity for them to be social. They come and do water aerobics, they do Tai Chi, they work with our personal trainers. So for a lot of them, it just helps them continue their health and wellness. And we're actually working on a program that we're going to collaborate with Haverhill City of Haverhill and offer a program called Enhanced Fitness, which is funded by the Wadley Foundation that we're looking to start next month for our seniors. So it's
Would that be in conjunction with the senior citizen center?
Just
anybody can go?
Anyone can go. It's going to be open to the community, no cost, and it'll be 3 times a week, and an opportunity. It's a prescribed 1-hour fitness program, and you can start in the chair, work standing up. But it's again, we know how important it is for our seniors, who, especially those on fixed incomes, to be healthy, and it's important. And we have great partners like the Wadley Foundation who help support some of our wellness initiatives.
All right, and it's 97.9 WHAV, the Open Mic Show. We're coming up on 7:30. We are talking with Tracy Fuller, the Regional Executive Director of the Haverhill and Plastow Community YMCA, and we'll be back after this short break.
It's 6:31.
On air and online, all the time. 97.9 WHAV FM. WHAV broadcasts more Greater Haverhill news more often than anyone else combined. Support Haverhill-based news with your tax-deductible local support. Go to WHAV.net, click on the membership button, and thank you. From 97.9 FM, WHAV.
Catch the wave!
Melinda's Garden Moments help gardeners create and maintain a healthy, beautiful garden with ease, inside or out, and all year long. This is Melinda Myers, inviting you to tune in every weekday morning, right here on WHAV. You'll learn creative ways to grow your own vegetables and herbs while beautifying your landscape. Eco-friendly lawn care, flower garden design basics, unique container gardens, attracting birds and butterflies to the landscape, and much more. Again, please join me weekday mornings for Melinda's Garden Moment for a very environmentally friendly approach to gardening. Remember, only local radio can bring you this feature opportunity, but only WHAV does.
Wave weather!
Now your wave weather forecast for Haverhill and the Merrimack Valley. Clear skies and dropping all the way back into the low 20s tonight. West wind around 15 to 20 miles per hour early, then diminishing greatly. Sunny skies, lower 50s. South wind around 5 to 15 miles per hour for your Tuesday. We'll increase the cloud cover at night, about a 50-50 chance for a few showers. Lows around 35. Morning rain shower chances remain for Wednesday, then a mix of sun and clouds for the afternoon. Temperatures warming up to 57. I'm WHAV meteorologist Brian Ivy. Your next wave weather in 30 minutes.
WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
Good evening and welcome back to the Open Mic Show. I'm Ralph Basilier, filling in for Bill Macek, who is on special assignment. I'm with my co-host, City Councilor Melinda Barrett, and tonight we are joined by Tracy Fuller, the Regional Executive Director of the Haverhill and Plastow Community YMCA. We've been talking about some of the exciting things you have going on. You have the gala coming up, and the golf tournament coming up. And this information is all available on your website?
Yep, it's all available on our website, which is www.northshoreymca.org. So
that
all
makes
available.
It easy.
Yep, it does.
Why don't you take us through some of the programs that you have, one at a time?
Sure. So one of the cool things about the Y that I think is that you can be, from an infant to a senior and be involved in the YMCA. So, for instance, babies can learn to swim in parent-child swim classes. They can have an awesome birthday party at the Y. They can be a part of our quality early education programs, have fun in Kids Club. Older preschoolers can do our sports leagues, do some open gymnastics time with their family. enjoy some of our special family events or fun activities, like we have Parents' Night Out on Friday night. So parents can drop off their kids, go out on Friday nights. Kids get to have a blast at the Y, and parents pick them up at 9 o'clock. So that's a benefit for family memberships, which is great. So
I'll tell you, I have a neighbor. She has multiple kids, and she was widowed a few years ago. And she said taking her kids to the Y and going there to be able to work out, she says it saved her.
That's awesome.
She really
That's great.
I'm sure you know who she is. Obviously, I'm not going to divulge that type of information, but speaks very, very highly of the Y. Her children love it. I live within walking distance of the Y, and when we were talking earlier, when you came in, I really have the emails to prove it. They were just downloaded from WikiLeaks. I got in touch with Julian Assange, and I have an email that I am trying to join the gym. So if my doctor is listening, I'm taking your advice to you. So what else do you have going on?
Well, I think one of the things we hear a lot in Haverhill is opportunities for teens. So, when teens are allowed, once they go through an orientation, to use our fitness center by themselves, which can be interesting because, they'll try to come in and lift 400 pounds and they can't, but we want them to get healthy. We think it's important for teens to be welcomed at the Y. We do have every Saturday night, we have teen nights. So we just have the Y open at the end of the night just for teens. We do basketball, dodgeball, we serve meals, give them a space to be. We also have some leadership programs for them as well, have folks come in to try to talk to them. We have a free summer league, a basketball league that we do in partnership with the police station. So, a lot of opportunities for teens. We're also one of the bigger employers of teens in the community. So we have a lifeguarding course that's starting actually this Sunday, and if you are a teen and you take the course and you pass the course, we end up paying you back for taking the course, and we employ you. So
and there's always a need for
there's a shortage of lifeguards.
There's a significant shortage of lifeguards. So this is a great way to keep our community safe, as well as provide some employment opportunities for teens. So, and if as an adult, between our adult sports leagues, our offerings of classes, offerings of the membership, open times, we see a lot of adults, some who like to do lap swim. So I think we have a lot for adults, and as families, their families feel welcomed because we have so many different things. So you can go get healthy. Your child can be in a swim class. Your older child can be a part of our league or be up tumbling in gymnastics. So again, it's something for everyone. It's part of that healthy living that we like to focus on, because the healthier we can be and provide for our community, the healthier Haverhill will be.
And it's such an opportunity. My nieces bring their kids to the Ys, and I have a picture of them on the one of the ballots.
That's really cute.
She's
look at
balance
that.
beaming at a very young age.
Wow.
The Olympics.
So we were talking earlier, you said you have a tumbling program, right? Is that what that is?
Yeah, we have that.
Now, tumbling is that's a word for beginner gymnastics? Is that
absolutely. Right? Call them like tiny tumblers and such, but we have a great gymnastics program, and we actually have a competitive program where girls are we're sending 17 girls to nationals this year. So, we have girls who are on the Haverhill gymnastics team that are nationally ranked, and, we actually are the home gym for the high school gymnastics program, which we're proud of, and a lot of the girls on the team started when they were very, very little at the Y. So it's a great way to have us continue to give back and also have them be a part of their school.
And correct me if I'm wrong, weren't the girls at the high school undefeated this year?
They were undefeated this year, so
you've done well.
We've done well, and then we also look to employ them too to help for things like gymnastics camp. So, and they love it because again, that's such a part of their life. So, it's a great opportunity. Again, it's any way that we can look to and with the community, strengthen the community, whether it's housing, wellness, initiatives like expansion of education programs. The Y is there. So
wonderful. Yeah, I know that it's very, very busy. There's not a lot of times you go by the Y, and there's not literally dozens of people coming and going at any one time.
And they're all waiting for you.
Well, they're not the least bit interested in me.
I don't know.
Yeah. So I'm going to be in tomorrow, actually, as
I'm going to hold you to
circumstance has it. Yeah. Well, you wouldn't believe how my doctor, she just doesn't leave me alone. She's very persistent. Going going back just to remind people, the Y Legacy Gala fundraising event, the biggest fundraising event of the year is May 11th.
Yep.
It supports the summer kids to camp, and it is at the Bradford Country Club at 201 Chadwick Road in Haverhill. Tickets in advance are $100, and a table for 10 you can get for $900. Sounds well worth it to me.
Yep, we're still looking if people want to help sponsor the event, thanks to our premier sponsor, Pentucket Bank. But if people want to donate an item for the auction, it's a great night. We have Bradford Country Club is so good to us. They make a great meal, and it's a lot of fun. We have Pentucket Bank's going to have a signature cocktail at the event. So I know I had you at cocktails before, so this will be a great night. Yeah. And again, our goal is to try to send as many kids to camp as possible. And the cool thing is that with the financial assistance we give away, no one knows who's receiving financial assistance. You don't get a different T-shirt or a different membership tag. It's so important for us. The most important word in our mission statement is all, and us serving the all in our community is truly what inspires me to make an impact and inspires my team as well.
Well, that's wonderful. Yeah, the Y does a lot of great work. I mean, I've never heard anyone say a single bad word about it. I'm intrigued by this, that the gym at the Y is the training facility for the Haverhill girls gymnastics.
The Haverhill High Gymnastics team.
So Haverhill High didn't have the equipment you happen to.
Yep.
So of course it's a marriage made in heaven.
Yep.
And now you've had this great success story.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. Which is great. I mean, we feel fortunate, and we work with the tennis team actually called me today because they want to do some tagging, so they're going to do some tagging in front of the Y. So again, for us, it's so important for us to really look to support those that are looking to work with us, whether it's providing some gym space, training space, and our goal is to do great things, tell people about them, and ask for their support. So we're fortunate to be able to do that and help out other school groups and clubs as well. So
now, Tracy, you're the regional executive director, so
yep.
I'm guessing that's not your first job at the Y.
No.
So you started there some time ago?
So I was first, my first Y job was in 1988. I was a summer camp counselor, and I worked at the Greater Manchester Y at a camp called Camp Half Moon. So that was my first Y job a very long time ago.
Way up in Manch Vegas.
Manch Vegas, that's where I grew up. So.
Yeah. And you've been working for the Y since '88?
Yep, I've worked. I've actually been the executive director for just over 12 years and worked for the Y of the North Shore for 18. So I really haven't worked anywhere else. So I figured at one point, as I was getting my degree, if I wanted to do a job to give back, I should. Working at the Y was really meaningful to me. So just never left.
Where'd you go to school?
High school, I went to West High School. I graduated from St. Anselm College. So
St. Anselm? So
yeah. I'm a Manch Vegas kid.
Yeah.
No, actually, I had a degree in developmental psychology. I was a biochem major. I love sports medicine and sports, and did a complete flip once I was working at the Y because I wanted to just connect with people, help people, and potentially work in education, and there you go. So
it's funny, when I was in college, every time I had a psych class, I poo-pooed it, and then jumped right in and got A's. And I used stuff that I learned from my psychology classes in college more than I think any other class, except maybe world religions.
A lot of people poo-poo psychology. I was a quality procrastinator, but developmental psych really helps with. I worked with young kids. I worked as a preschool director, preschool teacher, and just working at summer camp was just such an awesome experience. You have so many kids that they may struggle in school, struggle to get along with kids. They come to summer camp and they can kill at Foursquare, and they just reinvent themselves, which is just such a cool thing. They become like, they're up on stage and they have no fear singing a camp song, and it's just, it's so amazing to really teach kids, bring that out in kids. We teach skill and we teach them a lot about themselves. So,
yeah, well, your programs are actually designed. I can see where your degree fits right in.
Yep.
It's directly applicable, where you're trying to get people different skill sets at different stages of life. And of course, those stages aren't a solid line. It's more like there's an overlap and a spectrum.
Yep, absolutely.
But it was Developmental Psychology 1. I went to the Harvard on the Highway, known as Northern Essex. That's why I don't like it, because I look like Brad Pitt, that people treat me different, because I went to community college. I've got thoughts of my own, and I want to be respected for that. But it was developmental psychology that made me fall in love with psychology courses. I found it so incredibly interesting. And I'm not saying that just because you're here. I'm saying it because it's actually true, because everyone knows I would never let the truth get in the way of a good story. We had talked about you're a cross-section of society, your clients. Some of the people who come to you are however, really having problems.
Yeah, we definitely have people who come to us in need, and I think, our CEO has challenged us to reach out in the community. For every one person who comes to us, we reach out to someone else. So, we don't turn anyone away due to inability to pay. So, again, we have a sliding fee scale, and there's those that are able to pay the fee, and that's great. And for those that don't, our goal is to help them out and make sure that, not just for the child, but for the parent, for the whole family to become healthy. So
we have to take a break, but just a few seconds before we end, I had been telling my doctor for 3 months, don't worry, for 6 months, don't worry, I'm going to join the Y, and now I will tomorrow, because I'm guilted into it.
Have to.
Yeah, I have to. This is a sign from God. And with that, we have to take a break. It's 97.9 WHAV, and we'll see you on the other end.
Open mic!
Bill Macek and the Open Mic Show will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900.
You're riding the local wave, 97.9 WHAV FM. And if you're listening on TV, it's compliments of the board, staff, and members of your local public access channel. Thanks for being tuned in to the Merrimack Valley's Wave. Local news and the best music. 97.9 WHAV.
Catch the wave!
On air or online, 97.9 WHAV serves you. Twice an hour weekdays, keep up to date with exclusive local news and weather. Find out about civic events on Community Spotlight every quarter hour. And better prepare with Wave Weather every 30 minutes. Mass Moments, Melinda's Garden Moment, Soundbeat, and Insight Daily complete the spectrum. Hear classic comedy and drama 7 nights a week at 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. Finally, a unique blend of rock and roll hits from the 60s, 70s, and 80s round out the entertainment. Stay with 97.9 WHAV, the only Haverhill-based news source.
WHAV Open Mic!
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
Probably good. I'd rather not see.
Good evening and welcome back to the Open Mic. I'm Ralph Basilier, filling in for Bill Macek, who is on special assignment. My co-host tonight is City Councilor Melinda Barrett, and tonight we're hosting Tracy Fuller, the Regional Executive Director of the Haverhill and Plastow Community YMCA. Welcome back, ladies.
Thank you very much.
What were you talking about? There was something about a basket.
Oh, I told Tracy I would I usually make a basket in my previous business. I made gift baskets, food baskets, and I usually donated one to this event.
Which is awesome. Thank you. And it always goes very, very well. So thank you. That type of support is so great for us to be able to have we'll have an online, and then we have a live auction at the event as well. So there's so many people who benefit from this, our kids and families, kids being able to go to summer camp. Families don't have to worry. Such a peace of mind that kids aren't going to be just staying home and hanging out. They're going to get to come to.
What are some of the challenges and how they've changed with say like funding or the needs of the community.
Yep.
10 years ago, did you need more of swim classes and less of camps, or?
I think what I've seen in the last 10 years that I've been, the challenge with fundraising is I think everyone's fundraising. So, I mean, we're looking for, future opportunities. One of the challenges is we're outgrowing our building, so there might be a new opportunity for, the potential growth of a expanded Y in the future. And I think with a lot of nonprofits looking to fundraise, it feels like we always go to the same people, which is a challenge. And so I think, I've seen that in the last 10 years. I've also seen one of the exciting things is that we've seen that even though we hear the economy is getting better, there's still a lot of people that are having some rough times. So I
think the economy is getting better for the people up top, by the way.
I think and I think I agree with you because there's so many people who, it's not getting better for them. So, for us, the need over the last 10 years, I would say 10 years ago, the Haverhill YMCA probably gave away about $200,000 worth of financial assistance, and that's grown to $9 million. So we're not seeing a decline. We're seeing only a growth. But, the positive things is we're starting to see a lot more conversation around things like education and funding education and, working with the school department and other avenues towards supporting affordable preschool, quality after-school programs, which are so key for working families and key for kids. We want those kids, we want all kids, whether you have means or not, to be on the same playing field, which is so important.
So if a kid took the after-school program that you offer,
yep.
They get off the bus right at the Y, and then they go in and they study, or do they play?
Yep.
Depending on the age?
Depending on the age, but we have some in schools, but they're either at their school or if they come to the Y, they get to do their homework. All of our after-school programs, we serve a meal, no cost to the family. They get to, at the Y, swim, do gymnastics, rock climb every day. We do, at our other schools, we offer enrichments such as yoga. We offer Zumba for our kids. We offer a program called Active Science, which they wear a pedometer, get to be super active, get to do some studying on a tablet, because studies show that the more active a kid is and opportunities for them to be physically active, the better off they do in school. So we really try to look to do progressive type programs. We monitor their grade and monitor, how they're doing in reading. Most of the schools we work with give us their reading levels and give us books to be able to help read with kids who really need that support. Because a lot of parents pick up at 6, and then, for us, they're fortunate that they pick up at 6, their child's had a meal, they've done their homework, they've had an opportunity to get their energy out, and a lot of parents have to start really early the next day, and we open our before school program opens at 6:30.
Now, you've mentioned a number of times that you have you feed kids at different programs.
Yep.
So these are nutritional programs. So right off the bat, I mean, I like that. I mean, I've got to tell you, in the country that feeds the world, I shouldn't hear anybody complaining about feeding kids here in America.
Yep.
I shouldn't hear about school breakfast programs. I shouldn't hear about school lunch programs. I shouldn't hear about food stamps. If you love farmers, you don't complain about food stamps. So I like that aspect. And how does that work? It seems to me that a kid who's hungry can't concentrate.
Nope, they can't. And the number of kids that qualify for free and reduced lunch in Haverhill is about 60 to 65%. So what we do is we work with Department of Education, and we work with Bureau of Nutrition Food Program, and we provide meals at all of our programs. So we work with the school departments, get some of the qualifying information, but we are able to provide a full meal, including all components of a nutritious meal to kids. And I'll tell you, there's some kids who are thankful that we have milk every day, that we have fruit every day. Some of the Salisbury steak meals, they love those. Can we have seconds?
I love Salisbury steak.
So a lot of kids do as well. So, it's so important for us. We provide, they have breakfast in the morning, but we provide a snack and we provide meals. Our teen program, too, so they get to come to the Y off the bus, eat a good meal, play basketball, do some homework, get some of their activities out. And some of the kids stay with us till 8:30, 9 at night, some of our teens. So, it's great that we're able to provide opportunities for them to thrive.
And you said a lot of the parents are working parents.
Yeah.
That's what's surprising to me. like, I guess not so much anymore as I paid more attention, but here, even in our community, like elsewhere, a lot of our poor people are working. They're the working poor, and that's part of the population you serve, correct?
Yep, absolutely. And for us to be able to have them drop their kids off, know that they're in a not just a safe place, but a quality experience that we're doing.
They can thrive.
Yeah. And that's so important to us, and be able to provide the care as well. So I do have one other program that I wanted to mention that we launched back in November. So as I said, our CEO challenged us and said, for every one person that comes to the Y, look to reach out to someone. And for the past year, our leadership team had put together a program with our CEO's support, and we launched it in November in Haverhill. It's called Cornerstone. And for anyone who's been diagnosed with cancer, so we all know everyone has had someone in their life or someone they know that's been affected by cancer. That person or their family, if it's been the last 5 years, can receive a free YMCA membership for up to a year.
Wow, that's great.
So, and we have opportunities for meetups, wellness programs, have working with Holy Family Hospital to come in and do a speaker series, because we know that cancer doesn't discriminate. For those that, may have a diagnosis, if you're a working mom, you struggle with childcare, you struggle with affordability, and you just want to create a new normal for your child. And this is a great opportunity for us to really show how much we're focused on healthy living and supporting the community. So.
And I read somewhere recently, because I'm careful what I read, because there's a lot of garbage out there, but Five or 6 days a week, I read about 100 articles a day. I'm retired. I have the time to read. I read a lot. And I read a very well-sourced article that I can't, off the top of my head, cite, but it says that when people have cancer and they have access to support and exercise at the same time, there's a correlation between better healing and quality of life. So
absolutely.
It sounds like what I read is kind of like exactly what you're doing.
Absolutely. And the program offers, free childcare, drop-in service, so if you have an appointment, but just the peace of mind of being able to offer wellness in addition to, we're not providing treatment, but we're providing the holistic point of view of being able to support wellness for, and for kids. We have a lot of young families who've been affected with cancer in Haverhill, so providing them with a free week of summer camp or just an opportunity to go bounce in gymnastics helps them, kind of regain a sense of their new normal and help provide some real support for them.
And just to be able to, if you had an appointment and you had to go to Boston,
to
know that your child is okay, you don't have to, coordinate 4 different people to swap off. It must be just a real.
My family went through that not long after my wife and I split many years ago. The mother of my children, she got cancer, and the challenges were enormous. And thank God I had good health insurance. But the challenges to create normalcy and to create fun and a temporary place for the children. I mean, I remember that year that she had cancer, during my visits, I packed them with trips to Boston on the train and things like that. And it was just so enormously important to get their head out of that crisis mode.
Absolutely.
So I really appreciate that. I got to tell you, I didn't realize, and I learned every day how much the Y around the corner from me does. We have about 2 minutes left. With that, you had spoken about the possibility of needing an expansion. I think your last expansion was probably done in the early 80s?
It was done, I want to say mid-'80s. We expanded our gymnastics center. And then in 2006, we added our second floor for affordable housing. So, again, we know where the Y is where it's really needed, but we also know that we're running out of space. And so looking into what are some opportunities to provide some expansion, whether it's additional space, additional programming. We have the teeniest, tiniest little puddle of a pool, but we teach 300 kids swim lessons, but it's a pretty small puddle. So, looking into say what are some opportunities for us to grow and expand is on the horizon. So, again, we're going to continue to fit the need of the community wherever it needs us. So that might be the next time I come on and can tell you about where we're working on that.
Absolutely.
So.
We'd love to have you back sometime.
Thank you.
I've got to tell you, I've learned a lot. I didn't know how much we did. Tonight we're finishing up with Tracy Fuller, who is the Regional Executive Director at the Haverhill and Plastow Community YMCA. Find them online at www.northshoreymca.org. My name's Ralph Basilier, and we're going to be back after this break.
Open mic!
Bill Macek and the Open Mic Show will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900.
It's 7 o'clock.
WHAV LP Haverhill.
Here's what's happening locally. I'm Wynn Damon. The team at Jill Legasse's Design Her Eyes is preparing to bring beauty across the bridge from downtown Haverhill into Bradford this spring. Legasse telling WHAV that after 2 years at 62 Wingate Street, the salon is relocating to a space double the size at 3 Ferry Street, former home of Papa Gino's in Bradford Square. With construction currently underway, Legasse hopes to be open for business by early next month and anticipates a seamless transition for her staff of 5 lash artists and their customers. As a result of the revamp, Design Her Eyes plans to still prioritize eyelash extensions, tinting, and eyelash lifts, and will also expand offerings to include massage, waxing, and spray tanning. Prices ranging from $10 to $350. Legasse explained to WHAV the appeal of her beauty business.
I think it's the way that it makes people feel. I used to laugh when they would tell me it changed their life, but in reality, it saves a ton of time in the morning, and you wake up and you just feel pretty. It's more of a feeling than it is a look. However, of course, the look is very important.
Eager to expand her business, Legasse said moving into the Bradford Square centerpiece was a no-brainer. Taking over the space, Legasse, who lives in Andover, tells WHAV it takes her back to her childhood.
Like a unicorn popped out when I saw that for rent sign. I kind of grew up there. My mom worked there when I was young. We lived over on Laurel Ave. We would head over there after school. So it was really a big part of my childhood.
Legasse plans to keep her customers updated on relocation progress online at designhereyes.com. Mayor Fiorentini joined local leaders and representatives from the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Ad Hoc Memorial Commission Friday morning at Millbrook Park in Haverhill for a wreath-laying ceremony to mark March 29th's National Vietnam War Veterans Day. To pay tribute, the group left a wreath donated by Angelo the florist at the foot of the city's plaque commemorating the 13 local men who died in Vietnam. As an added touch, Georgetown's Noonan Florist and Greenhouse lined the area around the memorial with pansies. Joining Fiorentini to lay the wreath were City Councilors Thomas Sullivan and Melinda Barrett, and Vietnam Commission Chairman Ralph Basilier, among others. On that day in 1973, combat troops were withdrawn from Vietnam, and the last prisoners of war arrived back home on U.S. soil. The Vietnam War Veterans Recognition Act, signed into law in 2017, designates the day as an official annual day of remembrance. 9 million men and women served in the Vietnam era, and 7 million are still alive, according to Ralph Basilier. And Haverhill's four-legged friends can get their springtime vaccinations at a discount on Saturday when the Main Street Animal Hospital offers rabies and other preventive shots. At the 500 Primrose Street Animal Shelter, from 9 until 1 on April 6th, residents can bring dogs on a leash and cats in a carrier to receive a shot for $13 per animal. No appointments necessary, and services are provided on a first-come, first-served basis. Other services are offered at a discounted rate, and more information is available by calling 978-374-2415. And River's Edge Plaza in Haverhill is vacant no more. By the end of this year, at 211 to 299 Lincoln Avenue, the space Haverhill locals knew as the place to shop for bargains at Building 19 will be reinvented as a climate-controlled storage facility by New Hampshire's NAI Norwood Group. Going before the city's Board of Appeals in March, attorney Michael Migliori petitioned on behalf of the Norwood Group's Joe Mendola, who plans to oversee the development of the 600-unit space adjacent to Riverside Park and Trinity Stadium. Mendola's confident Storage Direct's 4th Massachusetts location will be a welcome addition to the strip mall that currently houses Market Basket and the Registry of Motor Vehicles.
It's going to bring a fresh new look to the shopping center, and it's also going to bring people there, from like 5 miles away, because that's where they store their stuff, and they'll store their stuff and then they'll go shopping.
As part of the renovation, Mendola tells WHAV 45 spaces in the lot in front of the location will be available for use by park patrons, and Storage Direct will overhaul the walking trail behind their building. With the project still in the early stages, Mendola and his team are taking special care to address concerns from neighbors on Riverside Avenue, worried about noise and possible traffic congestion that could come with the new business. Mendola predicts a smooth move-in for Storage Direct.
We're not going to be a big traffic generator to the rear of the building, and so we will be an asset to the neighborhood and not having trucks loading and unloading stuff off of Riverside.
In WHAV sports, the Red Sox are in Oakland tonight to play the A's, while the Celtics are going to be hosting the Miami Heat. The Bruins have the night off. And on the high school scene, in boys lacrosse today, Essex Tech is going to be at Gloucester. Girls lacrosse has North Reading at Essex Tech, and Pingree is at Brooks. Remember, WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source. And there's always more at WHAV.net. That's where you can sign up for the free newsletter. From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, this is Wynn Damon.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Kate Fisher. British MPs are voting on 4 alternative Brexit proposals. The party of Turkey's President Erdogan has lost control of the capital, Ankara, in local elections. The American government is speeding up the deployment of officers to the US-Mexico border. Former US Vice President Joe Biden has defended himself over an accusation he acted inappropriately towards a female former political figure.
Wave weather.
Now your wave weather forecast for Haverhill and the Merrimack Valley. Clear skies and dropping all the way back into the low 20s tonight. West wind around 15 to 20 miles per hour early, then diminishing greatly. Sunny skies, lower 50s. South wind around 5 to 15 miles per hour for your Tuesday. We'll increase the cloud cover at night, about a 50-50 chance for a few showers. Lows around 35. Morning rain shower chances remain for Wednesday, then a mix of sun and clouds for the afternoon. Temperatures warming up to 57. I'm WHAV meteorologist Brian Ivy. Your next wave weather in 30 minutes.
Know what's happening. Sign up for your free Wavelengths newsletter. Online all the time at WHAV.net and 24/7 on 97.9 WHAV-FM.
WHAV Merrimack Valley Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV-FM presents the Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
Good evening. Welcome back to the Open Mic Show. I'm Ralph Basilier, filling in for Bill Macek, who is once again on special assignment. I'm here with my co-host, City Councilor Melinda Barrett. And our guest for the second hour is City Councilor Tim Jordan. Councilor, welcome. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me, Ralph.
Always a pleasure. The first thing I'd like to get to is something that's a little interesting to me. Actually, it's very interesting to me. And you had put it on last week's agenda. And things I watched at home I thought went swimmingly. And that's the conservation restriction at the Anton Farm, which is a little bit different than what the Conservation Commission does on a week-in, week-out basis, because these just don't come around every day. And I know the neighbors were behind it. I certainly was behind it. I mean, I'm a conservation commissioner. It's pretty obvious I'm supposed to be conserving and commissionering, and commissionering is a real word, I found out. So tell us a little bit about that property, how this came to be.
Sure, yeah. So as you're well aware that the Anton Farm, Janice Anton and her family has owned that property going back to like the 1700s. It's been farmed that far back. And what they've been looking to do, and they've been working apparently on this for like 2 or 3 years with the Essex Greenbelt to do a conservation restriction for roughly 25 acres on the property, which means that 25 acres will never be developed. There won't be housing put in it, things along those lines. It's going to be kept as open space. And I think, like you, Ralph, I would fully agree that part of what makes Haverhill so special is the diversity that we have on lots of levels. And certainly one of those diversity things that is great that we have is the diversity of land, that we have a real urban core downtown, great restaurants, nightlife down there. But we have the working farms. We have some just special places where it's a treat to be able to walk. And, I went over there with Vanessa from Essex Greenbelt and walked the property, and it's just gorgeous. Seeing,
beautiful.
Yeah, seeing those stone walls that have been there.
Scenic byway.
It certainly is very scenic. Yeah. I had been Janice reached out to me, just some concerns about, the process was taking a lot longer than it should have. Typically, and I think you and I have had this conversation offline, that most communities, when this comes up, are, they're jumping at it. They can't wait to, they're falling all over themselves to say thank you very much, because the Essex Greenbelt is going to help keep that property pristine the way it is, and it's a treasure, it's a treat for the city. This dragged maybe longer than it should have, but ultimately the neighbors really rallied behind it. The city council was obviously unanimous supporting it. You and the conservation committee was unanimous behind it.
Right.
So all of that, as you said, it was sort of a love fest at last week's council meeting, and the mayor did agree. I did speak with Sean Regan the day before, who said, the mayor is planning on signing it without putting any restrictions upon it, and that was great news. So.
Yeah, I think the mayor and I think the council made the right decision. For our viewers who maybe don't have any experience with this, and I have experience now with only 2 of them, for all the permits and all the violations we do and all the comments to the other boards, the conservation restrictions are really the conservation law in Massachusetts is unique to Massachusetts. We're the only people who put our conservation at the local level, and you can do certain things with that under home rule, like we have an ordinance, so the Wetlands Protection Act. We have stricter regulations, but when it comes to conservation restrictions, that was the very purpose of the Massachusetts conservation law. Now, what happens is a person wants to work with an agency like Greenbelt to conserve their property, and they go to the state, very lengthy process through the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs, and then it's sent to the local Conservation Commission, where on behalf of the city it's certified, and then the responsibility of the mayor and the council is to place it on file. Am I saying that correctly in the terminology? So I've got to tell you, as a conservation commissioner and as someone who has family still living in that neighborhood and grew up in that neighborhood, I'm very, very pleased that Greenbelt, the mayor, the council, the neighbors are all able to get together, do the right thing there. I think it's a big plus.
I think typically a lot of times, and you can't blame people that there's an inclination to want to try and get the top dollar for it, sell it, have the property get developed, and so it really was pretty altruistic, I would say, of Janice Anton and Barbara DeSalvo, her sister-in-law, to make the decision that effectively they're not selling it, they're getting a tax deduction. The program that you mentioned that does take a couple of years to go through, there is some state tax credits, but it's nowhere close to what they could get if they actually sold the property. But that's not what their intention was. And having been in their family and having that open space for, again, coming up in 3 centuries, the idea to keep it that way and know that it'll be that way forever was just so powerful and meaningful to them.
Right, because as we speak, I mean, the Anton family really are the heroes in this story.
Absolutely.
As we speak, that is being farmed. It's being hayed by one local farmer.
Tyler Kimball.
Who is then feeding that to his animals who he's selling, so that's helping a local business. I always forget the name of the vineyard.
Jim and Cindy Parker, Willow Springs Vineyard.
Willow Springs, and I'm sorry to Jim, but Willow Springs, they grow rhubarb for their wine.
That's right.
So that's really a great partnership. I'm glad that happened. Incidentally, of course, I'm not a journalist. I'm doing this to helping out Bill here.
You're doing a great job,
Well,
Ralph.
thank you, but I'm doing this to help out Bill.
You might Wally Pip him. He may not have a show when he comes back.
There's something I learned. Fun fact about that story while we're on it. One of the highest tracking stories, WHAV has the ability to track on their website and Facebook how many people open and read the story. I believe it's in the top 3 of all year. rivaled only by a tragic shooting that resulted in a young man dying on Washington Street. That story tracked better than anything else that WHAV has had in the last 6 months, a year or so. That was a very... It amazed me how popular that was with people.
Yeah,
how people are paying attention.
Yeah, and I would think part of that is, there are a lot of people that really revere the open space and are passionate about that. And I think fundamentally the fact that some people had an issue with, why is this taking so long? She owns the property. They've owned it for generations. Mm-hmm. They should be able to put on the conservation restriction if they want to. What's the holdup?
And it is. It's so beautiful when you drive by, and a lot of people do use those back roads to
it's a beautiful
cut through,
property.
Go back way to Salem or whatever, and it is just striking when they put the light in the barn in the winter. It's like a postcard.
Absolutely the right choice by the city's leaders to put this under restriction. With that, it is coming up on 7:16. We have to take a commercial break to hear from our sponsors. We'll be back on the other side. I'm Ralph Basilier. This is 97.9 WHAV FM.
Open mic!
Bill Macek and the Open Mic Show will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900.
You're riding the local wave, 97.9 WHAV. And if you're listening on TV, it's compliments of the board, staff, and members of your local public access channel. Thanks for being tuned to the Merrimack Valley's Wave. Local news and best music. 97.9 WHAV.
That we deliberate and achieve with wisdom and understanding, recognizing the rights of all of our citizens with full regard for the dignity and justice of the individual.
Each week, WHAV News brings you live gavel-to-gavel coverage of the Haverhill City Council. Listen to 97.9 WHAV FM each Tuesday night at 7 when the City Council is in session from the Theodore A. Pelosi Jr. City Council Chambers in City Hall. Presented as a public service from 97.9 WHAV FM.
Community Spotlight.
The Atkinson Congregational Church debuts monthly Wednesday night dinner parties. Members of the community are invited to monthly dinner parties free of charge on the first Wednesday night of each month, starting at 6 p.m. Overseen by Pastor Jim Thomas, the effort aims to foster connections and conversation between locals, exploring what he calls hard questions over family-style meals. The 90-minute sessions take place in Lovejoy Hall, attached to the church, at 99 Main Street, Atkinson. No advance registration is required. More information is available at atkinsonconnections.org. Submit your own nonprofit events and announcements at least 3 weeks in advance. For best results, use the online form under the Contact tab at whav.net. In the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, this is John Lee.
WHAV Open Mic!
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
Good evening. Welcome back to the Open Mic Show on 97.9 WHAV. My name's Ralph Basilier. My co-host tonight is Melinda Barrett, while Bill Macek is on special assignment. And someday I'm going to find out what special assignment means.
I don't even know where he is.
I don't know where he is either.
Where in the world is Bill Macek?
Where is Bill Macek? Well, anyways.
Actually, it's there's a story behind that. Walter Cronkite used to have a boat when he would take a break. The legendary Walter Cronkite called Special Assignment or On Assignment.
Oh.
Yeah.
Very good.
The more you know.
Yeah.
You learn something every day.
Imagine that. So since we were talking off air, since I had a number, you're part of Team Haverhill.
I am. Yep, I've been a member since the very beginning. Yep.
You're one of the. I think we called you the founding members of Team Haverhill.
Yeah, I guess
Came
I would
close
be.
to calling you a founding father. Tim.
Please don't.
Came close.
I'm
No.
not that old. Yeah.
No. So, although you're very Washingtonian in some ways. there were some folks on, Lisa Marzelli and her husband,
Jeff Grassley,
from Team Haverhill. We were leading into the possible dreams, which then has happened. I was here for Bill Macek that night, but we had the TV on. I was here with Bill Macek, and we were looking in the crowd as we saw you, and we saw Melinda, and it was sort of like romper room. You look out through the mirror, and I see Melinda, and I see Tim. But that's what we were doing. It was kind of a surreal moment. Yeah. We were talking about it. So you had that event again this year. I understand it was quite a success. Yeah. Why don't you run us through it? Tell us what ideas came up, what worked this year that you tried different.
Sure. So it's been an annual tradition for, gosh, I don't know, 8 or 9 years now, maybe longer than that, where it's sort of like a big community brainstorming session, getting people together to talk about what dreams are possible that could become reality here in Haverhill this year. And, in the early years, there was a little bit of what Team Haverhill should do, blah, blah, blah. And that was not the intention to give us action items, although we definitely, a lot of things have come out, a lot of ideas that Team Haverhill did work on. What's kind of become cool over the last few years is that sometimes it's a person or a group of people that have an idea and somebody else says, yeah, I've been thinking about that, we're doing this, and there's a synergy where things, work well together, and sometimes Team Haverhill has nothing to do with it, but good things are happening in Haverhill.
Like disc golf.
Disc golf.
I love the disc golf.
Yeah, that was a great thing a few years back that Fonseca was his last name. Andrew Fonseca, and at that meeting there were other people that were like, oh my gosh, I've wanted to do that, or I did that in this town or whatever, and that came out of it. And you look at that disc golf course and
almost year-round now.
Yeah, from what I understand, and I'm not a disc golfer, I love just going up there because my daughter plays softball up at the Legion Farm area, but you see people doing it and they say that's like one of the premier, disc golf courses.
I can tell you, I take my dog Elvis up there, exercise every day, and it is almost in constant use, even in the rain, even in the snow. Yeah. I mean, and I'm talking about there's not 2 or 3 people, there's dozens of people
and then
there.
when they have their tournaments,
it's
like, wow, and they come from all over to play.
Yeah. Now, just to put in a plug for the Conservation Commission, that was permitted just before I went on the Conservation Commission. That was permitted because there are wetland issues in there. And the group there, that fellow you had mentioned, Andrew. They work very well with the Conservation Commission, which is of course what you want. We want to be permitting things that give people greater access to their resources and recreation opportunities. Because you know what I have in every one of those disc golfers? I have an environmental steward.
Okay. Oh, definitely.
You know what I'm saying? I do. They take very good care of it. They work in a informal partnership with the commission. They work closely with our agent Rob Moore, who does fantastic work. And also, out of possible dreams came the River Ruckus, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, actually, several years ago, I think it was Rick Barber, who used to live here in Haverhill, worked at city clerk's office.
City clerk, and he was a realtor.
Yep.
Lives up in Maine now.
And he was the one that stood up and said, again, when a lot of people have kind of said along the same lines, that we have this great natural resource in the Merrimack River. We really don't utilize it that well. Wouldn't it be great to have a big festival, a community gathering, all along the river? And out of that came the Team Haverhill Festival, which, this is going to be our 8th annual River Ruckus coming up, our 9th annual River Ruckus.
Well, I've got to tell you, I've said it before, and Melinda's my witness. It's not just because you're sitting here, Councilor. I love the River Ruckus.
Oh, thank you.
I think it is one of the best events the city has. The energy to it. Of course, I'd like this year for Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga to play the River Ruckus.
I'll see what I can do.
Let's see how much juice you have, Councilor. I don't always get what I want, but I absolutely I love the River Ruckus. You guys are also very involved. I was surprised to learn in the Haverhill Farmers Market.
Yes, yeah. Jeff Grassley and Lisa Marzelli have been running that for the past 10 years or so. It was down to really just 2 vendors when Team Haverhill got involved. Wally's and Faye's Farm, and that was basically it. And so Team Haverhill got involved, and then from there it's just grown and grown and grown. Where last year the big move was moved from up on Ginty Boulevard, down Bailey Boulevard, down to Merrimack Street, and really the attendance grew quite a bit. Yeah, the
great success.
Great success. Yeah, the Greater Haverhill Foundation was a big help. They provided some funding to get all those nice awnings that all matched each other.
And the paint job. I was driving my mother and my aunt past it today, and they were, I'm driving, they're looking around. Oh, that looks so nice. They should paint the
whole thing. Yeah.
Oh, if only.
Absolutely, yeah. So
you have something coming up at the Dudley Porter. You're cleaning that old antique, really historical landmark.
Absolutely, yeah. So there's another working group that's going to be, they were over there actually this past weekend kind of doing some prep work, just checking out the site. Yeah, so there's a date coming up. Unfortunately, I don't know off the top of my head. But
it's the foot. No.
Oh, Melinda's going to get on that.
I'm going to find it.
But you could definitely just go to teamhaverhill.org and you can find out about a lot of the events and things that are coming up. I know we're doing a cleanup on Earth Day. The River Ruckus Festival will be September 21st. We always go with the third Saturday after Memorial Day. Labor Day, and then there's the event, the cleanup over at Dudley Porter. So a lot of great things going on that Team Haverhill's a part of.
Yeah, I really never realized until I started co-hosting the show with Bill, and we had Team Haverhill on, all the really great work that they do.
April 6th.
April 6th.
April 6th.
All right. With
9 to 12.
Yeah, so this weekend.
Yeah.
We talked off air a little bit about the Haverhill Education Coalition.
Yep.
So what would you like to tell us about that, Councilor?
Sure. So there's actually a group that started at my kitchen table. It just
doesn't seem to be the genesis of a lot of
ideas. I don't know about that, but this one, definitely, I guess, was sort of my idea, but more just like as a parent. My wife and I have 4 kids, in the school system here, and having worked on a lot of things as a volunteer, whether it was Team Haverhill, things with the Haverhill Rotary Club, a lot of other organizations, just reaching out to some people who were doers, Jeff Grassi, Lisa Marzilli. I worked on the Haverhill for Hunking effort, so Dina Papanicolo, Karen Pugh, Dale Windle, different cross-sections, some Team Haverhill people, to kind of just get together and just more a conversation. We didn't know where it was going to go, but just, what do you think about the Haverhill public school system? Kind of what are we doing well? What could we do better? And maybe more as lay people, I was not on the city council at the time, as lay people, what could we do to help make things better? And we did have a couple of school committee members, Gail Sullivan and Sven Amarian were at the original meeting, just to kind of get their perspective. Okay, you guys are on the school committee. What would you like to see from the citizens? And it was just a conversation, and from there, the biggest thing, I think Karen Pugh, who really ended up being like the head of the whole Haverhill Funking by the time it actually passed, was saying, maybe a big role we could play is to help just get information out there about kind of what's going on. Because sometimes you'd hear, and in the past, when I would watch it on TV occasionally, there was very little attendance at the school committee meeting unless you had a specific item on the agenda that night. And just making people aware of this is going to be discussed this week. This is what's coming up. Kind of what John Mitchison does with our meetings, of letting people know, here's the agenda, and that took on a bit of a life of its own, and then more people getting involved. And you get people like Joanna Dix, who now is the president of the group, and she's a perfect person in my mind because she's a teacher, special ed teacher over at Greater Lawrence. She has young kids in the Haverhill public school system, so she's someone who's going to be there for a long time. My kids will be gone, and she'll still have kids in the school system. That's a good thing. And then you get people like Tom Graneman, who has no children in the school system. He's an economist who just looked at it like, are we servicing our students in the best way, and what could we be doing? He's done amazing work. Yeah, statistically. Yeah. I mean, he's just unbelievable, like the data that he collected largely from DESE, the Department of Elementary Secondary Education, where they have all the data comparing how Haverhill's funding education versus other cities, other gateway cities. And the data did not reflect very well. But I think partly out of like the work Tom has done, and to some extent just the Haverhill Education Coalition in general, it's not coincidental that the Haverhill Public Schools has seen a big increase in spending the last 2 years. And to his credit, the mayor, and also to credit people like Melinda on the council who advocated for more money for education, we've seen an increase. I think it was 6.5% maybe 2 years ago and 6% last year, where we were trending in the wrong direction. Really, the gap was getting wider and wider between what we were spending versus the average city and town. So.
Tim, let me ask you, is there a direct, some people say, you know, here go the politicians, they want to throw money at a problem.
Sure. Yep.
But isn't there actually statistical correlations between how much money you spend and how well children do?
Yeah, I mean, it's not direct one-for-one, and there's certainly outliers that don't match up with that. But, yeah, if you look at, like, the trend of where Haverhill was heading and, you know, and rightly so, Haverhill's not a super wealthy community. We are a gateway city. But if you look at us compared to the gateway cities, we're actually on the upper third income-wise of the gateway cities. And yet if you look at our performance, the numbers were showing that we're performing more like Lawrence and Lowell overall, district-wide, which are much poorer communities than we are. And you look at a place like actually Salem, Mass., where our current superintendent, Margaret Murata, came from as the assistant superintendent there, they have been spending a lot more relative to the state minimum, and their performance has really gone up considerably. So it's, you know, it's true to say just because you spend more money does not guarantee you're going to get better results.
Right.
I think what we saw for a while is underfunding education didn't result in better performance.
And I'm hopeful with the use of different tactics with this new administration that we get even more bang for our buck.
Yeah. Well, I'm hopeful too.
Yeah.
With that, I've got to jump in and we've got to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about, we can talk about the Joint Facilities Committee. I'm Ralph Basilier. This is the Open Mic Show on 97.9 WHAV.
Open Mic!
Bill Macek and the Open Mic Show will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900.
It's 7:31.
Boston stations aren't tuned into the Merrimack Valley, but you are. 97.9 WHAV has your local wave weather around the clock. Keep it on 97.9 WHAV.
How does one man get himself into so many impossible situations? This is a question you'll probably ask yourself when you follow another hilarious adventure of Throckmorton P. Gildersleeve. Yes, Gildy's eye for the ladies and his impulsive temperament managed to entangle him in a web of riotous circumstances. Join the romantic water commissioner, his neighbors, Judge Hooker, Mr. Peavy, and all the loyal Gildersleeve household as they romp through another episode of The Great Gildersleeve.
Every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. on WHAV.
Wave weather!
Now your wave weather forecast for Haverhill and the Merrimack Valley. Clear skies and dropping all the way back into the low 20s tonight. West wind around 15 to 20 miles per hour early, then diminishing greatly. Sunny skies, lower 50s. South wind around 5 to 15 miles per hour for your Tuesday. We'll increase the cloud cover at night, about a 50-50 chance for a few showers. Lows around 35. Morning rain shower chances remain for Wednesday, then a mix of sun and clouds for the afternoon. Temperatures warming up to 57. I'm WHAV meteorologist Brian Ivy. Your next wave weather in 30 minutes.
Catch the wave. WHAV. Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
Good evening and welcome back to the Open Mic Show. I'm Ralph Basilier, filling in for Bill Macek, who is on assignment, Walter Cronkite's boat. with Melinda Barrett, who's my guest co-host, and we have our guest City Councilor Tim Jordan. Tim, welcome back. We were talking before the break about the Haverhill Education Coalition, and you wanted to touch upon the Joint Facilities Committee. So what would you like to say about that?
Sure, yeah. We actually had a meeting last week. Colin LePage and myself are the two city council representatives on the committee. Scott Wood and Maura Ryan Ciardello are the school committee members. Obviously, Superintendent Murata.
So this is a sort of a joint agency
committee, not the HEC.
Right.
Correct. Yeah. So separate thing. It is joint between city council and school committee, working with the superintendent, because obviously there's been a lot of discussion, rightly so, about the facilities. A lot of issues, a lot of schools with leaky roofs, et cetera, and so we were getting together again to get a status update. I think this committee had been dormant for a long time, and last April and May we met twice, and at that time the focus was to get in we voted to do a structural analysis of Constantino, because the previous year they had applied for funding to get in the pipeline
without the evidence.
Without the evidence, and they were denied. They didn't receive any funding. So we decided that we should do that, which would hopefully show that the school is in really bad shape as it showed it. And sure enough, we are now in the pipeline for funding. Still to be determined whether it's going to be a complete brand new school, or is it going to be, which really seems, if you look at the submission, is more of a major repair of the building, and then an addition for like 6 to 10 new classes.
So my understanding is that study revealed that Constantino, how old is Constantino? 70 years?
I want to say it's 60, something like
years
that.
Old? Yeah. Okay, so but the study, I believe, revealed that the building has good bones, that it's probably worth keeping. I mean,
I think, and I don't know enough. And in talking to the superintendent, I think she doesn't know enough to know. I think her words were, the state's going to really steer us one way or the other, based on with their money. That you're going to get X amount of money if you go brand new. You're going to get X amount of money if you do rebuilding it. Now, at last week's Joint Facilities Committee, the mayor he said at that meeting he really thinks we're going to get a brand new school. Wow. Now I've talked to school committeeman Rich Rosa, who, as he reads it, and he's an attorney, he's bright guy. If you look at the submission, it really looks like what was submitted to the state is more for a rebuild, a major repair with an addition. So
as I recall, it was for a rebuild.
Yeah.
The original request, Colin and I had gone in asking for that.
Sure.
3 years ago.
3 years ago, okay, yeah. And so I think, we'll see. I mean, when they ultimately do the full analysis, they may say it's more cost effective to do a brand new school. Because part of what we touched on at last week's meeting was we had the team Barr and Associates that did a study of the roof of Constantino, and what were the numbers they came up with? Well, basically there were 3 scenarios. Option A was to completely replace the roof, because the roof has lots and lots of problems. I think over 10% of it, they said, has serious water damage. Complete replacement would be $2.7 million. And the mayor, his comment was, well, why would we spend that money if we're going to get a brand new school 4 years from now?
And a teacher approached me the other day and said, well, what are we going to do? It's raining in my room. And she showed me a video of it raining in her room.
Yeah. So, and I would say if we knew, which we don't know yet, roughly, if according to Superintendent Murata, about a year from now, we'll know what route we're going to go. But if we knew that it is going to be a brand new school, then I would agree with the mayor on that point. Then to spend $2.7 million for something that's going to be last you the next 4 years, that would make sense. The second scenario was a complete repair job, rather than continuing the patching, because that's the third option, and the option that makes no sense to me is continuing to patch a roof that's basically a bunch of patches at this point. The second scenario was a complete repair of the entire roof, and that estimate was $400,000. I asked the follow-up question, because the third option being just continue patching.
Which will get you to 400.
That's exactly where I went, Linda. Yeah, you and I think the same way. I said, if we just continue the patching, are we going to spend as much or more? And he said yes. My professional opinion, you'll end up spending more money over the next 4 years. And to your point, Melinda, the roof's going to continue leaking in those classrooms. And you're just basically moving it from classroom to classroom as to which one's leaking.
Right,
so
water will find a way.
It will find a way.
Well, it's funny, and I once read a book about the importance logistically of railroads in the Civil War. And the point I really took out of that book, other than they were far more important than what the average person would know, is there was a line in it somewhere in like page 110 that said preventive maintenance is something you pay for whether you do it or not.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you tend to pay
The
more
number
in the
gets
long
bigger
run.
if you don't
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's exactly, I mean, my point. And then what the professionals, Peter Haverford, who was the project manager, and then the consultants that did the study, just said, yeah, you're basically throwing good money after bad if you just continue patching it. You're not really addressing it. And that's my point. Is, I mean, as a financial consultant, you need to invest in certain areas, and certainly you're going to spend less money in the long run, and your teachers are going to have classrooms that don't leak.
You need to address the issue. I
Yeah.
mean, I wouldn't want to spend 2.5, but if that was the only option,
Yeah.
you would almost have to. You
Sure.
can't have people for 5 or 6 years staying in that building
Yeah.
while they build another one.
Yep. And Principal John Mealy, the principal of Constantina, was at that meeting, and he was asking the question, a few times of just, so if we do the $400,000 option, are the leaks going to stop? Are we going to stop having my teachers constantly and my students walking by and having, tilings falling on their head and everything else? I mean, it's just, we talk about the lack of equity among the Haverhill schools, and, from whether certain schools have a Chromebook for every kid and other schools don't. But certainly the facilities, I mean, that's at the point of really being irresponsible, we've let it get to that point. So
let me ask you this question. Are we at a crisis point with some of our city schools?
I would say yes. I mean, the other school that we talked about at that meeting was Whittier, J.G. Whittier. And there's been a lot in the news about that. And one parent in particular, Paige Caswell, has done a very good job highlighting the issues. And she's a squeaky wheel. And you need to be a squeaky wheel to get the grease, right?
Yeah, certainly.
And so we did get an update on that as well. And there was I forget the name of the company that he works for, but Ambien maybe. But he did air quality, about air quality, but also the asbestos issue. And on that front, he said, yeah, there's a fair amount of asbestos. It's mostly things down low. Trying to get to it sounds like it's physically you're crawling into some very narrow spaces. But his estimate was $75,000 to $150,000 to completely correct or get rid of all the asbestos issue. And to his credit, the mayor did say we will spend that money right away.
I'm finding that as I listen to the two of you speak, and I read the papers, that there is some common ground between the mayor and the council and the Joint Facilities Committee meeting. There's some common ground, some things you agree on. I think the first common ground is all parties are concerned with doing the right thing. I mean, I think that's fair to say, right?
Yeah, I certainly, it was good that the mayor did say we will take care of the asbestos issue right away. He seemed to be a little bit reticent on spending the $400,000 to do the full repair, but hopefully, we're going to give an update. Colin and I put it on the agenda for tomorrow night's meeting to brief the council on what the professionals were actually recommending. And I think hopefully with that, I understand, he said it in the meeting, he's hesitant to even spend the $400,000 if we're going to replace the entire building 4 years from now, but it's 4 years. I mean, the alternative is, you're going to let the leaky roof continue for the next 4 years. I mean, that's not fair either. That's just not fair at all.
Now, some people, when I run into them in the coffee shops and around town, they're like, how did we get here? And they want to point the blame. And one person made a point, and I don't know if it's true or not. I'll run it across you. In all fairness, I do believe that the mayor, the city council, the school committee all want to do the right thing about the schools. And I think you're finding some common ground. But someone said to me, Ralph, the city was in financial distress. Think of a tanker heading towards an iceberg that's going to destroy it. And the mayor turned that ship around, and there might not be 3 people in the Commonwealth who could have done it. And now, all these years out, he, or the city, however you want to look at it, is a victim of that success, of not going into receivership, of getting our financial house in order at the expense of perhaps the schools and some other things. What do you think about that?
I think, the city has survived a near catastrophe, and the psychology of the department heads and the mayor, they were conserving to save.
Yeah, they were in bunker mode, really.
So I think maybe, it's time to turn that thinking around. We've avoided the iceberg. Right. Now we have to think a long-term, our next stop and how we maintain the vessel.
Yeah, I mean, I would...
It's all about maintenance.
Yeah.
And luckily, about a year and a half ago, I put on the agenda to hire a maintenance.
And you got it.
And we got it, right. And, to her defense, There's 17 buildings that
Yep.
she's in charge of as the school maintenance director. There are a lot of issues that have gone unaddressed for decades. So to get a hold of it with 3 or 4 people on staff,
Very important.
It's very difficult.
Yeah, the MASBO report that came out, I don't know, a year and a half ago, or maybe it was last May. It highlighted that issue that we have roughly half of what we should have in the way of a maintenance department. I mean, back to your question about the crisis mode, I would say, yeah, we are in crisis mode as far as the condition of our schools, and I hate to see us be penny wise and pound foolish. I know Councilor Barrett has on occasion, advocated for we need to hire. I mean, we don't want to hire for the sake of hiring. We don't want to just add to payroll. But if you neglect things so badly, again, you're going to spend more in the long run. I think that's where we're at. But I would fully agree with Melinda, that Superintendent Murata, she's inherited a real mess, and I think she is addressing it and attacking things and coming up with, okay, let's get a real handle on it. And that was one of the things, again, out of our meeting last week was Colin LePage and myself were asking, can you get, and Heather Forgione, the facilities manager, come up with estimates of what is it going to take to repair each school? What are the cost estimates for each of these? Let's prioritize that list and say this is the most important, this is the second, this is the third. And then, as a council standpoint, we need to know the real story. Don't tell us half the truth. I mean, we had that come up last year when we were in the budget meetings talking about the schools, and I was hearing, and I think Melinda was too, from parents and from teachers at Constantino in particular saying, class size, it's mid-30s. And then the superintendent came into the meeting, the then superintendent, and the mayor saying, no, it's not. Those aren't those numbers. Well, that's just not true. The reality is that the parents and the kids in the classrooms and the teachers know what it was. And so we need to get the truth. Whether you think it's good, bad, or whatever it is, we need to know the reality so we can allocate the funds appropriately.
Okay, and we're coming up on 7:45 here at WHAV, the Open Mic Show, 97.9. We're going to take a commercial break. We'll be back on the other side, and I think we'll talk about Haverhill Promise. We'll be back in a few.
WHAV is on Facebook, on air, 24/7, and online all the time. This is 97.9.
Catch the wave!
When the Haverhill School Committee meets, 97.9 WHAV FM is there live from Haverhill City Hall. Class sizes, special education, teacher hiring, and spending are among the topics covered Thursday nights at 7 when the school committee is in session. Presented as a public service from 97.9 WHAV FM.
WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
Good evening. Welcome back. My name's Ralph Basilier, and for Bill Macek, who is on assignment, I'm here with my special co-host, City Councilor Melinda Barrett, and our guest for this hour is City Councilor Tim Jordan. We were talking about the Joint Facilities Committee when we went to the break, and a lot of information there. We're going to get on to Haverhill Promise. Councilor?
Yeah, so we had an update last week from school committee members Gail Sullivan and Rich Rosa. Actually, back to the possible dreams, that was something that came up at that meeting, and a comment that Gail Sullivan had was that we really need to get the word out, and do a better job with that. And Colin and I said, hey, we were in the same working group on that, saying, why don't you come to a city council meeting and kind of share the word? And I thought they did a great job. But that started, Dr. John Maddox, the school pediatrician, he brought a group, included Representative Andy Vargas, Gail Sullivan, Rich Rosa, Janet Bijan, director of the Wildflower Montessori, yep. And there might have been one other person too, but they went out to Springfield, Mass, where I don't know if they call it Springfield Promise, but it was along the same line that they've had a lot of success with this grade level reading program, and has made a big difference, in that community. And as Gail, highlighted and Rich highlighted at last week's meeting, that the goal is to get every student reading at grade level by grade 3. I know you touched on a little bit with Tracy Fuller,
Yep.
and their summer Yeah, their summer literacy program, which is definitely a big partner in that entity. But yeah, the numbers that Gail gave were kind of startling. That again, let's be realistic about where we're at. That currently it's only 30 to 35% of the Haverhill students are reading grade level at grade 3. And
that's not acceptable.
No, it's not. And as Gail said, though, if a kid's not reading at grade level at that point, you think about the trajectory or the track that the kid is on. Because if you're in class and you're going to be in class that many hours and you don't understand what's going on,
you can't read the directions.
Yeah, you're going to check out. Mentally, you're going to check. You may be there in body, but you've checked out in mind. Yeah. And it's frustrating.
Then you're going to drop out, and then not to ever be an alarmist. I'm not that type of guy, but I've been hearing a lot, not so much about Haverhill, but in general, the school to prison pipeline.
Yep.
That's directly correlated to a lack of literacy, and that's just not a wise investment on our tax dollars.
No, and I think that's exactly, you made a great point about investment on our tax dollars, and I think that's the key. Then, and all the studies, the data shows that if you do spend more money on the front end, or not spend, invest more money on the front end, on the education side, get the kids to that level, you're going to save so much more money versus so many kids on IEPs, and some kids are going to be on it anyways, but you're going to spend so much money on the back end. If you can address it on the front end, you're much better off. And then the ripple
effect. The criminal justice implications are enormous.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. That the ripple effect of if you are in class and you can't read and you say, okay, clearly this is not something I'm not on a track. So what should I do? It's more up to lead you.
Street corner with money hanging out of his pocket.
Exactly. Yeah, you're much more apt to get and start doing the things you shouldn't be doing.
Yeah. Once you have someone reading at the grade level, you'll never be able to keep them down.
Yep.
If they want to be successful, if everyone leaves high school at the grade 12 level and they want to be successful, then they have that chance. And if they can't read, what shot do you have, really?
Yeah. No, and I think you said it when you were speaking with Tracy in the last hour, and I agree with it completely, is that, having that education to be on that track, again, much better likelihood of having success, as you move forward. And I think the idea about people who are in poverty, the best, ticket out of that completing that cycle of poverty is to have an education.
Right.
Absolutely, yes.
I
believe
wanted
that.
to be a tradesman. You
Yes.
have to have
That's right.
an
You do.
education.
That's right. Absolutely, yeah. And we're so fortunate here in Haverhill to have not only the Haverhill public school system, but Whittier Votech, which is phenomenal. They do a wonderful job. I'm fortunate. My oldest son's a junior at Haverhill High. My second son is a freshman at Whittier, and perfect school for each kid.
I'm a Wildcat.
You're a Wildcat?
Yeah, 1984.
You represent them well.
Thank you.
Proud
very
alum.
much.
Yeah.
I as many people who know me know, I'm a Marine Corps veteran. And really, as I look back at it, I've been out of the Marine Corps, of course, decades now. Of all the things I learned in the Marine Corps, of all the gifts they gave me, second only to my award-winning personality, it's my love of reading that was really sparked in the Marine Corps, because there's actually a misconception about the Marine Corps that we're all a bunch of Neanderthals. Well, the Marine Corps is a very ancient, of all the military branches, is very ancient in its deep roots into like the Art of War by Sun Tzu. But it's a very cerebral organization. People don't realize that there are a required reading list at every level. There are required books, required reading, and then when you spend a lot of time at sea, you spend your time reading.
Sure.
Stephen King books. I mean, I used to read Stephen King books. He's such a good writer that I had to stop reading him overseas because it made me homesick.
Wow. Yeah.
But that's where I fell in love with reading, and it's being an avid reader has opened the doors to everything. As a conservation commissioner,
oh yeah, I bet.
I left the conservation office on the day I was appointed with a the boxes full of copy paper, full of new manuals to read, new regulations and stuff, and I spent months and months and months and months reading, and it's just that literacy's of huge importance to me because it's the great equalizer.
Sure. Yeah, you mentioned all of the Marine Corps, the Rotary Club, Bernie Cloyce, Proud Marine, Mike Hart, another Proud Marine. They had a speaker, and I wish you probably know his name. He wrote a book, actually, about the A drowning. There was an issue.
At Paris Island.
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
I've read articles about the book, but I haven't read the book.
The author of that book came to it again. Obviously, a Marine himself. It was fascinating. I mean, literally, hearing that whole story, and he interviewed, the guy who was the drill instructor. And really tough. Everything that happened, and but a fascinating story.
Yeah. One of the every organization has its problems, and the Marine Corps is not immune to that.
No place is perfect.
Fanaticism or abuse in the Marine Corps has been a problem, but thankfully they hit it head on. They tend to wipe it out. You have a fundraiser coming up that you wanted to talk about for the Emmaus House?
Yes. So a group of us cyclers, the annual Cycle for Shelter that Emmaus has put on, it's now maybe the 30th anniversary of it.
Wow.
So we have a team called 3 Flat Tires, because there's actually one of the guys that biked got 3 flat tires in the course of a ride, and then it actually happened again a couple of years ago. Sean Mooney had it happen to him about 3 years ago. But it's coming up on Friday, May 17th, hosted at the Bradford Country Club from 7 to 11 p.m. It's a great event. You can, the Cycle for Shelter itself, you can do a 20-mile ride, you can do a 40-mile ride, 62 miles, which is the metric century, or the 100-mile ride.
You're doing the 100, Tim?
I actually, I did it last year. My oldest son has done the 20-mile ride several years. Colin LePage, the fellow city councilor, has done the 20-mile the last couple of years. What?
No, I was just busting.
So Bradford Country Club is the opportunity for your adoring public to see you in bicycle shorts?
No, I will save them that eyesore.
Well, 3 Flat Tires, that's an interesting name of your team. It sounds like the name of a craft beer or something. I think there's a craft beer called the Flat Tire.
There's a beer, Flat Tire,
right? Yeah.
I think it's out of Denver, I believe.
Yes. So that's Friday, May 17th.
Well, that's Fat Tire. Actually, it's Fat Tire.
It's Fat Tire.
Not Flat
right.
Tire. It's Fat Tire. Yeah.
There's an opportunity there.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, there's a chance there.
Yeah.
So your team is going to now.
Yeah, so
where do you bike to, and then what do you bike 50 miles then come back?
No, so we don't ride our bikes that day. The day takes place. It's the 4th Sunday in July. All 4 rides start and end at Northern Essex Community College, which is a great partner. Harvard
on the Highway.
Harvard on the Highway.
Yep.
They're a great partner to Emmaus with that event. All the rides start and end there. They also have a nice event afterwards with food. They have masseuse there. You can take a shower there, all this good stuff. But on the fundraiser day, it's really it's a fun event. It's a fun fundraiser.
And that's Friday, May 17th at the Bradford Country Club.
Is that in the tent?
Yes, Kristen and Kevin Murphy are going to have it in the tent. And
I love that venue, by the way.
It is beautiful, yeah. We've had it, we didn't have the fundraiser last year, just a lot going on for Chris Safurlis, who runs it with me, and Melissa Sarasulo. We had it at the Barking Dog Ale House, which is a great venue, the 4th floor, for 3 years there, and just shaking things up. Chris said, hey, how about having it at Bradford Country Club this year? And we met with Kristen, and she couldn't be more gracious about it. They do so much for the community, so they agreed to host it, and, we're thrilled to be having it there. Plenty of parking, so it should be a great event.
Wonderful. Let me loop back to, if I can, Councilor, the Haverhill Promise for a minute. So I had a question, and we were up against the break. Is that the fundraiser that WHAV was involved in, and Andy Vargas, and they were collecting books around Christmas?
Yeah, correct.
That's right.
Yep, and then Team Haverhill, I know, is going to be doing a book drive for that as well. And that's another great thing about Haverhill Promise is that there's so many organizations that are partnering for it. I know Melinda's so involved with the Haverhill Public Library, but they're a partner. The Haverhill Education Coalition has been partnering with them. The Haverhill Public Schools, obviously. The Mount Washington Alliance. So Gail said it so well. She was so passionate when she came before the council last week that this isn't just another little thing going on. And I think, kind of to your point, this is so critical to our kids' success. And we touched on a little bit earlier about some of the not great performance by some of the Haverhill Public Schools on testing or whatever. I feel like Haverhill High is always, the top kids have always done very well there, and it's sort of like, how do you help the kids who are not performing as well? Sometimes there are language barriers, there can be other reasons. How do we bring that group up so that the overall, to change the reputation about how Haverhill's viewed, and that you want people to say, Haverhill, what a great school system. Because you think about,
I can move there.
Yeah, I can move there, and that's exactly it.
Well, as you were talking, I was thinking, what a great legacy for the city. If we're a city that has I don't know what heuristic to put on it or way to measure it, but if we're, at one level that's not very good with literacy and with reading level, and within 10 years we can significantly, change the data in our favor. I mean, that's just a great legacy for the city. And a lot of bang for your buck with investment there.
Oh,
really.
yeah.
Oh, incredible.
A lot of bang for your buck.
Yeah.
It makes sense financially. So this year, and I'm not saying this because I want any praise, but every year as part of my savings, I save money towards Christmas time, and I pick some places to go, and I have a couple places I always donate a little bit of money to. But this year, the winner of my that third slot of money I had was the Haverhill Promise.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Yeah, I had the good fortune of being able to buy books. I can't tell you, the whole Christmas season, I think the greatest delight I had was when I ordered the Dr. Seuss books.
Oh, okay.
It brought me such great joy to do it because, honest to God, I really believe in it.
That Read Across America Day that we had a few weeks back, I was lucky enough to get to go over to Hunking and read there. Did you? Yeah. I mean, what a treat that is, huh? I mean, like, the kids are so excited.
And high school kids that go over too when they read.
Yeah. And you know who's contributing to that legacy? I know sometimes, city councils and the mayor have a difference of opinion, but, I think everyone's basically decent and trying to do the right thing. The mayor loves, I learned his favorite thing about being the mayor. Do you know what it is?
Going to the schools.
Going to schools and reading to the kids.
Yeah.
He absolutely loves it.
Yeah.
So I've learned that if I want to ask for something on the Vietnam Veterans Commission, to schedule my meeting after he comes back.
After he comes back from that?
Because he's like Santa Claus. He's so happy.
He's so happy, yeah.
Yeah, so I think we all agree that this is a really important thing, and it's a feel-good thing, and it is time to wrap up the show for the night. I can't believe it. I used to have a teacher named Mr. Mr. LaBella, and he said, all good things must come to an end, and so must geography. And with that, this is 97.9 FM, WHAV. I'm Ralph Basilier with Melinda Barrett. Tim Jordan, we'll see you next week.
Open mic!
Join Bill Macek live on the Open Mic Show again next Monday night at 6. The opinions expressed on the Open Mic Show are not necessarily those of 97.9 WHAV FM, its underwriters, or affiliated stations. The Open Mic Show came to you from the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom.
It's 8 o'clock.